In the world of high-stakes crime, few stories have captured the public's imagination as much as the saga of the Anna conspiracy. At the center of this elaborate criminal tale is Josh, a man whose cunning and manipulation have turned him into one of the most notorious figures in the world of organized crime. But what makes Josh's story truly extraordinary is not just his criminal genius. It's that he's been orchestrating an audacious heist from behind prison bars. This is the story of how Josh, a once small-time criminal, rose to prominence in the criminal underworld. His reign of terror, however, would not be achieved through traditional methods. Instead, he leveraged his most powerful asset, Anna, a woman with ambition and a dangerous will to do whatever it took to climb the ranks of the criminal world. Together, they pulled off a conspiracy that would shock the world, all while Josh was locked away in a maximum security prison. Josh's rise from small-time criminal to mastermind. Josh's criminal career didn't begin with the flair of a mastermind. He was just another petty criminal involved in small-time cons and schemes. But Josh had an innate ability to think several steps ahead, a trait that would eventually elevate him to the upper echelons of criminal enterprise. He started as a low-level hustler, dabbling in petty thefts and cons, learning the ropes of the criminal world through trial and error. But Josh's ambition burned brighter than most criminals on the street, and he had a knack for manipulating situations to his advantage. The turning point in Josh's career came when he was arrested for a string of high-profile burglaries. Facing a long sentence, Josh found himself locked up in a maximum security prison. But rather than being broken by his circumstances, he saw his imprisonment as an opportunity, a chance to mastermind a much larger, far more complex operation than anyone could imagine. While in prison, Josh quickly realized that he could still have control over the criminal world outside the prison walls. Prison, after all, was just another obstacle to overcome in his quest for power. And Josh knew how to work the system. Behind bars, he cultivated a network of contacts within the prison and beyond, including criminals who were out in the real world carrying out his orders. But even this wasn't enough for Josh. He needed someone who could help him from the outside, someone who was ambitious enough to do his bidding without question. Enter Anna, the woman who would become his pawn. Enter Anna. At first glance, she seemed like an unlikely candidate for Josh's scheme. Anna was a highly intelligent and driven woman, but her background wasn't steeped in crime. In fact, she was an aspiring businesswoman, one with dreams of making it big in the corporate world. But Josh recognized something in Anna, a hunger for success, a willingness to do anything to achieve it. And most importantly, she had the skills Josh needed to execute his plan from the outside world. Anna and Josh's paths crossed when Anna found herself in a difficult financial situation. Her company was struggling and she was on the verge of bankruptcy. It was at this low point in her life that she met Josh, who, from behind prison walls, offered her a way out. In exchange for helping him with a secretive job, Josh promised Anna the financial freedom and business success she so desperately craved. Initially, Anna was skeptical. She knew that Josh was in prison and had little idea of what he could truly offer. But as Josh began to unravel his plan to her, it became clear that he had orchestrated an elaborate conspiracy, a heist so audacious that it could set them both up for life. Anna, desperate for an escape from her failing business and intrigued by Josh's brilliance, agreed to become his accomplice. Little did she know, she was about to become entangled in a conspiracy that would lead her down a dark and dangerous path. The heist. A prison cell, a woman, and a complex web of deceit. The plan Josh devised was nothing short of genius. He was locked away in a high-security prison, but through Anna, he would be able to reach outside the prison walls and orchestrate an elaborate heist that involved multiple players, an extensive network, and millions of dollars at stake. The conspiracy hinged on a few key elements: deception, timing, and Anna's ability to manipulate people in her own circle. The first step was gaining access to a multi-million-dollar heist target, a series of rare, valuable art pieces from private collections around the world. Josh's plan was simple. Anna would be the face of the operation, pretending to be a wealthy art dealer looking to purchase these pieces. However, the real goal was to steal them and sell them on the black market, with Josh pulling the strings from behind bars. But how could Josh, a man who was physically locked away, execute such an elaborate plan? The answer lay in Anna's ability to manipulate the people she came into contact with. She was a woman who could charm, deceive, and control those around her with ease. Using her connections in the business world, she was able to gain access to high-profile individuals who were willing to sell their art for the right price, though they had no idea that the transaction would be part of a larger heist. Through coded messages and carefully orchestrated phone calls, Josh and Anna communicated about every step of the heist. Josh's prison phone was the key to his operation. He would give Anna instructions, tell her who to contact, and advise her on how to handle each situation. While Anna was executing his plan, Josh was manipulating the events from the comfort of his cell, proving that even a prison sentence could not hinder his criminal genius. The unraveling, a web of deceit. As with all elaborate plans, things began to unravel. Anna, who had initially thought she was working with Josh for her own benefit, soon found herself trapped in the conspiracy. The further she went into the heist, the more dangerous it became. The people she was working with, those in the art world, were not as innocent as they appeared. As Josh's plan started to unfold, Anna realized that she wasn't the only one being manipulated. Others involved in the heist were also playing their own games, and the entire operation began to resemble a game of chess with Josh and Anna. As the pieces on a board that was rapidly growing more dangerous, the art pieces were successfully stolen. But as Anna continued to follow Josh's instructions, she became more and more entangled in a web of lies and deceit. The police were closing in, and the heat was rising. Anna knew she had to act fast before everything fell apart. But the more she tried to distance herself from the operation, the tighter Josh's grip became. The final twist: betrayal and uncertainty. The final twist in this story came when Josh realized that Anna was no longer necessary for the heist to succeed. She had outlived her usefulness, and Josh, ever the calculating mastermind, decided it was time to dispose of her. Using his influence from prison, Josh set in motion a plan to ensure that Anna would take the fall for the entire operation. He made sure that Anna would be implicated in every step of the heist, even though she had been working under his direction. Anna, realizing that she was now a pawn in Josh's game, tried to flee, but it was too late. The authorities had already begun to close in on her. In a final act of desperation, Anna made a deal with the prosecution, offering information that could bring down Josh's entire criminal empire in exchange for a reduced sentence. But Josh's story didn't end with Anna's downfall. As she was arrested and brought to trial, Josh's influence remained, and his criminal network continued to operate in the shadows, with new players taking Anna's place. Conclusion: the Anna conspiracy unveiled. In the end, the Anna conspiracy was not just about the heist. It was a tale of manipulation, ambition, and the lengths to which a criminal mastermind would go to stay in control. Josh's ability to orchestrate a heist from behind bars was nothing short of extraordinary, but it was also a story of betrayal and loss, as Anna, once his willing accomplice, became his pawn in a game that would ultimately destroy her. The conspiracy may have unraveled, but the legacy of Josh's criminal empire remains. The Anna conspiracy will go down in history as one of the most daring and complex heists ever conceived, and as a reminder that even in the world of crime, the most dangerous masterminds are often the ones who know how to pull the strings from the shadows.